Hello viewers, this is Nairobi Chapel, Ngong Hills, and this is the Marriage Enrichment Program. This afternoon we are glad to have two guests that are going to tell us about themselves, their stories as men, and we're going to learn quite a lot from them. On my right is Jerry, and I'd like to ask him to introduce himself and tell us briefly about himself. Jerry.
Thank you so much, Pastor Sam. My name is Jerry Phillip Otieno, and I'm a member of Nairobi Chapel, Ngong Hills. It's an honor to be invited to this online program, and I've been married to one Elizabeth Mukami. We're married for 8 years now. Thank you.
Wow. You're welcome, most welcome, Jerry. And on my left is Patrick. Would you please tell us more about yourself?
Thank you, Pastor Sam, for having me today. My name is Patrick Maheli, married to one wife who is a lady, blessed with 2 daughters, one who is 13 and the other one who is 8 turning 9.
Welcome, welcome, Patrick.
Thank you.
That is a great place to begin. So I have 2 powerful men in the house tonight. We are glad to have you. I know that you did not start life married. You mentioned that you were married, and as a program, our focus is to strengthen our marriages, is to strengthen our families, strengthen the church, and as well as strengthen the society. And this is why men become a very strong pillar in terms of building the strength of the family, the church, and society. And so, Jerry, would you please tell us more about your married life? How did it begin? When did it begin? What were your expectations? So just give us a brief on that as we begin.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pastor Sam. One thing when it comes to men, you know, ladies are more detailed. They can even tell you the minute and the exact hour you met, but I hope I'll get it right so that when she sees this, I won't be in trouble. We met way back in 2003 when we were first years at the university, and we were just friends. But when I was in 3rd year, towards the end of 3rd year is when we saw there was a spark between us, and we started dating. So we dated from, that is around 2006 until now when we got married in 2011. That is February 26th, 2011.
So and that was how many years of dating and courtship? Courtship,
you can say, courtship, that is 2006 to 2011. That is 5 years?
5 years.
5 years, but I knew her since 2003. Wow. Yes. When we decided to get married, it was quite I can say it was quite a tense moment, tense time for me, because number one, she's from another culture, and of course, you know, in most African societies, they would rather you get somebody from who knows your culture, embraces your culture. 2, we had just gone through the post-election violence, and I was trying to introduce my wife to my mother, and you know, that time there was a lot of tension.
Wow.
Yes.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yes. In fact, there's a relative who asked me, you can't see what is happening. Na wewe ndio bado unatupeleka huko. So for me, if you really love somebody, you have to go on with it.
Wow.
Yes, because it's easy to say, but marriage is not about tribe.
Marriage is not about tribe.
It's not about tribe. It's about love. It's and about love. If you love somebody, wherever they come from, whether it's Africa, another continent, if it's real love and it's founded on the principles of God, despite the challenges, I'm sure you'll sail through.
And so you're saying you're able to surmount the challenges of the time?
Yes.
Because of the context of that time, there were these tribal issues.
Yes.
And so it was not easy, but God gave you the grace to go on.
Definitely.
And I think you said that marriage is about love. It's not about the tribe, and not about even the culture, but it's about, do you love the person? And that is a powerful thing. How about you, Patrick? Would you tell us how probably you met and when this began and the resulting effect of that?
Well, thank you for that question, Pastor Sam. Actually, I'm surprised we were like almost in the same period with my friend Jerry here. I met my wife back between 2004 and 5. That was the period that we met, and things really evolved very fast, and we happened to share the same aspect of intercultural marriage, because I'm from a different culture, she's from a different culture. Okay. So when we met, and in my heart I could tell like she had the qualities that I wanted for a wife from the looks. Say
she was a wife material.
She was a wife material from the word go. So I had to make my move very fast, and come 2000 and beginning of 2006, if I'm not wrong, we had already started living together. And that is the same year that we got blessed. That is in 2000. That's the same year we got blessed with our firstborn daughter. So it was very interesting, and I expected. When I was getting into marriage. I was somehow skeptical about it, because in the sense that I am a man. I am used to living alone, and here now I have somebody under the same roof with me. How is that going to happen? And this somebody who is not your brother, is not your sister. But somehow I managed to figure out, and we forged the way forward. Yeah,
that's wonderful. And so we note that in your case, it was like love at first sight, and then things just rain, and before you knew it, you were married. And so far I know that things change in life, and you'll tell us more about that later. And so there are different seasons in life, and we actually see that happen even in marriage. So there is that season that you are really, I can say, you are looking forward to getting married, and once you are married, you realize that you are settled, and it becomes a new season for you. I do not know how that looked like for you, Jerry, in the beginning, and what has transpired so far. Now it is almost, should be over 10 years or so you've been married.
Yes.
I believe there are many experiences. What would you like to share with us from that time?
Okay, I'm glad even Patrick has mentioned about expectations. In life you have a lot of expectations. In fact, I usually say like we think life is ABCD. You'll finish primary, go to high school, you go to college, you get married, you get that good business or that 6-figure salary, have cars, have children who are bright. But life is not always that way. I remember when in campus we used to have a Bible study group, and we wrote down some of the things we'd like to have, and most people are saying we want 3 children. I want to have this kind of a job. Nobody talked about business. I'd like to be driving this kind of car. I'd like to be living in this part of Nairobi. And shock on me, and shock on us, I think very few are actually living the dream. For me, number one, my first expectation after I got married, that of course both of us were already working, but we'd actually told ourselves that we'll give ourselves 2 years and enjoy marriage life. Bado tukue kwa honeymoon, miaka miwili. Then after that, the children should start coming in. So he said we'll get our firstborn, After that firstborn, he or she is around 2 years, we get another one, and we hope that it will be this sex of child. We even wanted, you wanted a firstborn, you're saying a firstborn should be a boy or a girl, secondborn girl. Then we're even saying that now our third attempt should be twins.
Wow.
That's how and we saw life was heading that way.
It's rare to hear someone talk about twins.
Yes. So, shock on me, first of all, it took us, because we got married 2011, and our firstborn son, Amadi, came in 2014. That is 3 years. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy ride. And you know our culture, how it is. Culture, they look at, when you get married, they don't even ask where are you working, how many children do you have. Even your peer,
how many children do you have?
And your peers will ask you, my friend, you're wasting time, man. This time, ungekuwa ushaharakisha hii maneno. And those words, for me, I would laugh it out. But for my wife, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. So it also taught me a lesson. In fact, these days when I see a couple, whether I know them or I don't know them, I never ask them, watoto watakuja siku gani, because you don't know what he or she is passing through. So we got our son, and what we were expecting was the milestones. Then it hits us. He's autistic. And that was also really troubled us. That's also another long story that maybe I'll share in another forum. But what I've come to learn in marriage, you take a day at a time. In marriage, there's no script.
There's no script.
There's no script. People will tell you, if you do this, this will make her happy. If you do this, it will make you happy. There's no script. It needs a lot of commitment, prayer, compromising. You really have to compromise.
That is compromise with one another.
With one another. Because you can be a very neat guy, or your lady can be a very neat wife, and you find it's the opposite on the other side.
Yeah, and they say opposites attract.
Opposites attract.
Okay.
But as much as it attracts, sometimes it can be annoying, because you can find you have a very neat wife, and you're that person, when you come in, you start undressing from the gate. Shoes here, socks there. And you can imagine.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of compromise. I can say there's a lot of compromise. You have a lot of compromise, and you have to discuss a lot of things together. I've personally learned, I'm that person, I used to like making decisions. And it would, I think it would really annoy my wife. I make a certain investment, and she tells me, instead of buying that speaker, si tungenunua a plot. And now you can even tell where she comes from. So yeah, it's basically it's learning a lot.
Yeah, so you're saying that you learned a lot.
Yes.
And you said your expectations were not actually met. As, you know, in the beginning, you waited for quite some time, and even when you were blessed with your first child, there turned to be some difficulty, and we thank God that God has given you the grace to go through that to this point. And as you say, it's that's for another day. But today we just want to thank God that He has given you the grace to be who you are. So as a man, how do you feel about, you know, being the priest of that home, being the one that is looked upon, even to give guidance in the midst of those like those times? How was it for you? Was it easy? Or did you find that were you overloaded with the issues as you went through the waiting period, and then this child comes in? Just tell us briefly about that.
I can say the pressure was there. The pressure is always there. But one thing I was always taught, that pressure is cyclic. The pressure is always there, because there's the pressure to get married. Once you get married, there's a pressure to have children. Once you get the children, there's a pressure to add the number of children. These children, when they grow up, there's that pressure, why are your children not performing well? So it was, to me, I was always taught to sieve, try and sieve, no matter how hard. Try and sieve what gets in and what you'll retain and what you'll let to get out immediately. it's very hard in marriage when you're going through stuff and you call a friend and the friend starts quoting a verse. You're like, are you really listening to me? I'm telling you I'm going through this and you're quoting a verse. I'm not even, how will that verse help me? So to me, all the issues you pass through, you need to face them head on. Whether I'm going through a problem, whether it's Patrick going through a problem, whether it's even you going through a problem, whoever is helping you or you're helping that person, face it head on. Don't hide. Some people tell me there are people who hide behind verses. There are people who hide behind, it's going to be well, it shall be well, it is a season. So for me, I've learned to face it head on. I stopped telling people it shall be well, don't worry. I try and get into that situation. Put myself, you might not be able to put yourself in somebody's shoes, but I try to put myself in that position. Also, as a man, I try to take authority in a humble way. Sometimes it's not easy, but I try to take authority of the house and make decisions that I know will better the life of our family. Sometimes you have to really be strong. Like what we go through with our son, you really have to be strong. You don't show it. Ni unajikaza wanaume. That's actually what they say. Yeah, kisabuli. Because you actually seeing there's a problem here. You're almost even shedding that tear, but you have to be strong. And so I can tell men is no matter what you're going through, sometimes just showing yourself to be strong could be that string that the last string you're hanging on to make things better. So just try and be strong and face that issue head on. Don't hide behind that it shall be well and those verses that will help, but try and face an issue head on.
And so I hear you say that we need to be real.
Yes.
Yeah, and so when we are real, we are able to face the issues that that come across, and we are able to overcome also in a real way.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, Scripture encourages us. However, again, I hear you say that we need to use the Scriptures in the right context so that they are not misplaced. Okay. Patrick, talking about seasons and difficult times in your married life, because we agree that in marriage there are those high seasons and low seasons. There are moments that you are happy, there are moments you are facing difficulties. How has it been for you to provide leadership during such difficult times in your family?
Thank you, Pastor Sam. Well, it's not been that easy. It's not been a walk in the park. Offering that guidance in my family as the leader. Coming to my story, like there was a time, I'm a business person. So there was this time I was changing ventures. So I switched ventures without consulting my wife or involving her in that decision. So I just got in. That was in August 2008. So when I got into this business, I just got in. She was like, "Oh, so this is what you're doing?" I was like, "Yes." And do you think it's the right way? Yeah, it's the right way. So we left it at that. I tell you, I had 2 years of struggle.
Wow.
2 years of struggle. And she was there watching. She's like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?" Yes, back in my mind, I still had that struggle as a man, because that's not what I wanted to do. Deep inside, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I wanted to be. So there was that struggle inside me, and there was that uncertainty in my family. So I guess there was some sort of loggerheads. So I struggled for 2 years, and she kept on encouraging me. But at some point, she just came out clearly, and she told me, "You know what? I don't think you're supposed to be here. you better go back to what you were doing before, because clearly here you're struggling, and I don't like the way you're looking, because it had taken toll on me. I was so stressed up. Financially, it was, I mean, we were on our knees. Financially, it was one time that even paying bills, only God. It is just because God's grace is sufficient. It is always sufficient. So we managed to forge some talk with her on the same issue. So we concluded that that's what I want to do for some time until God shows us the way forward. So believe me, that's when things started happening. That was back now in 2010 to I remember sometime in October. That's when now things started moving, and at least I could see there was some progress in our life until now.
So you're saying that even when times are difficult, the man as a leader can make decisions, yes, but you don't have to make the decisions by yourself, as in you need to consult, you need to engage your spouse.
Exactly.
That is something great to note. And I think this is where you're saying there's always a give and take, and you have to understand one another. Going through all this, how does how did the church come in? Was there any way that the church was influencing your lives? Probably you can tell us, Jerry, briefly about that.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Pastor Sam. I'd really like to thank Nairobi Chapel Ngong Hills family, because they have really stood with us and continue to stand with us, and especially our e-group, of which Patrick and I are in the same e-group. The church has really contributed a lot. When my analogy of going to church was just to go listen to the sermon, take a few things home. The week you hustle as if you have forgotten your Christian principles, then when you have approaching Saturday, you start behaving holy as you as you approach Sunday. But Nairobi Chapel taught me one thing. There are many ministries that can happen outside Sunday during the week, which are very influential in one's Christian life. There are so many ministries. When I joined, first I attended, I did plug-in. After plug-in, I did Man Enough. After Man Enough, I joined the Ushers ministry. I'm also in the marriage ministry. And all these things have really shaped me up. We have gotten a lot of guest speakers who come and tell you how it is. Yeah. And in fact, just to take you back, I remember when we were going through marriage classes, which usually, I think it's mandatory for most churches that you have to attend a marriage class before you get married. I remember the pastor who was taking us through. That day he came with the Bible, then he put it at the corner over there. Then he rolled his sleeves up and removed his collar. And he told you, today I'm not here to preach. Today I'm here to tell you about the realities of marriage. Yeah. And believe you me, Pastor Sam, after that class, there's a couple who decided to postpone.
Because the reality hit them.
Because you are really told things the way they are.
Yes.
Of course, it doesn't make you feel gloomy. There are those nice stories, there are those very nasty, bad stories, but he tells you, are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? There was a time when we were going through our son, we went through baptism classes. The church where I used to go to before I joined Nairobi Chapel. You actually attend baptism classes, but it was for our son. And I remember the last session, and I always tell my wife this, the last session of that class, they brought a lady to talk to us about autism. That time our son was just, his milestones were okay. And I really asked my wife, why is this lady talking to us about autism. And I found the class, in fact, don't just say boring, but I thought it was irrelevant. But you see, God was using that lady to prepare us, because she told us what she has a daughter who is now over 18, the things they go through. So one thing I can say about church, it prepares you in a way you can never imagine. You learn things that you can put in your marriage life, in your walk as a Christian, in your walk as a man of the house, even as a man in your place of work or business. How you can apply certain principles and leave a legacy wherever you'll be. So for me, church plays a very important role, if you allow also yourself to be taught and listen. Yes.
So thank you. You're telling us about how important church is and has been in your life. But I don't know how that has been real for you.
To be honest with you, I was brought up in a Christian kind of setup. My mom and my dad were like church leaders. They were not pastors, but per se, but they were church leaders, and they brought us up in a way that we should know God and always depend on God. As much as in life, I don't know, there's that tendency of when you're growing up, you tend to go astray a bit. But one thing that I thank God for, or I appreciate God, is once that knowledge of Him has been instilled in your heart, it will never depart in you. And whatever you do, you'll always remember there is God who is above everything. So, having that in mind, and now I'm a family man, I knew I would always depend on God for me to be able to make it in this world. So that always never departed, has never departed my heart. And being in Nairobi Chapel, of course I was in another church before joining Nairobi Chapel. Coming here and the kind of programs that I came and joined, the plug-in, the Man Enough, those programs, and serving in church has really contributed to my well-being, because of the values that are instilled in you, or that were instilled in me when I joined the training. So that has really given me an opportunity or wisdom to be able to run my family to date.
Well, it's good to hear that the contribution of church in your marriages, and how the different programs help to shape you and to guide you in your thinking, and also the fact that you are given to serving in the church, and that is wonderful. And so what I hear is you're finding support. It's like that is your support system. Like the Man Enough. From that program, there are things that you picked that have really helped you to grow and to lead your families, and that's a wonderful thing. And so, as at now, we've gone through a season, and we are still going through a season that has kind of closed us in. Would you just share briefly what your experience has been during this season, that people have been closed in, you have been forced to be close at home with one another as a couple, with your children? How has that been for you, Jay?
Okay. Thank you, Pastor Sam. By that, I'm assuming it's the COVID. COVID has really taught us a lot. Myself, I know even my wife expects me to say this, that I never like staying in the house.
You never like staying in the house?
I'm that guy. There has to be a kashuguli. a shughuli has to pop up. Even if we are just decided, today it's Sunday, let's take it easy after church, something will pop up. And then we're very quick to get into the car or even just rush walk to Ngong Town. COVID has really taught us a lot. Do you know, during COVID, so since you have to be in the house by 7, for the first time, we were watching movies together as a family, having dinner together as a family, going to bed together as a family. Before COVID, this is how it was. Wives like reaching home early because of the children, unless maybe circumstances, should reach even home by 5. And they would really wait for me so that we eat together. I'm reaching home maybe 9. They've already had supper and they have slept. And we noticed there was sort of a strain in the relationship because you are staying in the same house, but you're not meeting. In fact, there's a time we asked ourselves, is this a boarding school or a marriage or a home? Because by the time I'm getting home, she's asleep. My son is asleep. Our nanny is also asleep. In the morning, she gets out earlier before me. So by the time you're meeting, you're like, hey, how have you been on Saturday? You're asking us, how have you been? How has life been? So COVID has really made us, for me, I took the positives. But now COVID, on the harsh side, affected my side hustle. I'm in the entertainment world. And there's a time even I'd contemplated resigning my current job because my job had really peaked. Every weekend, every weekday, you're a show of a gig. Then COVID happened. You can't meet. You can't do what you want to do. You can't MC, provide sounds. And I have friends who are purely surviving on entertainment. It's really hard. So I'm praying that it doesn't seem that it will be going away. I pray that we find a way to see how we can live with the COVID so that people can make ends meet again. Because I know it's really tough. It's tougher for some people really out there. I can feel it. I can imagine for others. For others.
How about you, Patrick? What adjustments have you had to make during this COVID season?
Wow. Thank you, Pastor Sam. COVID-19. This one thing that has really got us stuck as men. In this case, I'm speaking for the larger group of men because I share same sentiments. Men staying in the house is something that is not, I don't know if it's African way of thinking, but it's not considered manly, sitting back in the house. And for me, I'm in the transport industry. So my presence and the movement is at the top there. So I was one of those guys who was directly hit by this thing in a way that totally grounded, no movement, because for me to work I depend on movements. So I have been able to make some adjustments, and I'm one of that person whereby I leave the house at as early as 4 a.m. and I'll be back, say, after midnight. And at times I would go for a whole week. I have not seen my daughters. We've not talked. My wife, of course, because she'll open for me, so I'll get to see her. But my kids, I would do a week without meeting them face to face. And at some point, the little one would refuse to sleep and say, I have to sit there and wait for daddy. It was that's one challenge that for a man and as a father, you really feel touched. that coming from your child, that means your presence is really, really wanted. So for this COVID-19, as much as it has made me grounded, on taking the positive bit of it, it has made me bond more with my family. At least we can have dinner together, something that rarely used to happen. It would happen maybe on a Saturday or on a Sunday, or whenever I don't have any booking to attend to. But for the past at least 3 months, I would say we've been having dinner together and me taking a hot meal, you know. I'm encouraged in a way. As much as there are other negative effects economically, but for that I've learned to take one day at a time. Taking one day at a time. I try not to be anxious, and I let God and let go. That is how I have managed to go through this season, as we look forward to clear it completely.
Wow. Thank you so much. As we draw to the conclusion of this time together, I don't know what you'd want to tell us, Jerry, in terms of being a man, being married, and does marriage really work? Yeah. Up to this point, what could be your sentiments about that?
Thank you, Pastor Sam. Marriage does work. I am a living testimony, despite all the things I've gone through. But marriage is just like a farm.
It's just like a farm.
Just like a farm. You have to take care of that farm. And by this, I mean that you know the needs of your wife. You know the needs of your children. And also, once you get married, you're not only getting married to her. You have your in-laws. You also still have your parents and your people. So marriage is a farm. And you know the borderlines where you're not supposed to cross, the things you're not supposed to do. I'm waiting for one day that I'll hear somebody will be graduating from the university with a PhD in marriage analysis and a methodology. That's the day I'll know it's not a joke, but marriage does work.
Okay. Thank you so much. Patrick, what about you?
I would echo his sentiments. Marriage, it does work. One thing that we should know, there is no blueprint for marriage. There is no blueprint that you can always refer to when it comes to marital issues and well-being. Having said that, marriage is not a bed of roses. As some people would paint it out there on social media, it's not a bed of roses.
It's not a bed of roses.
But you can make a bed of roses out of it.
Okay. I like that,
Only if you are able to compromise on some issues and be able to learn your partner the do's and don'ts from her end, and she is able to learn you the do's and don'ts from your end. Then another key thing is communication.
Communication, yes.
I've always learned to communicate. Well, there are those times when things are fiery in the house, and you cannot even have a conversation.
Things are fiery.
Yes.
That's a lot of people are jogging.
They get fiery at some point. That is not the best time to have a conversation. So for me, what I do is when it gets to that point, I'll always step out, go out there, you know, meet my friends, mingle. You know, when I get back, at least that anger, that pressure is a bit eased. And I don't have to talk about it that day. We can choose a favorable day later on to be able to face the elephant in the room. So that is how I have managed to work it out. But marriage works if there's proper communication, if there's proper understanding, and if there's total compromise in everything that we do. Your stance, each other's stance, one must be able to compromise. Because if you say it's either my way or the highway, you'll never get it done.
Can't work that way.
You'll never get it done. Let me mention one key thing here. As much as we come forth before the multitude to take our marital vows, at the end of the day, it is just the two of you.
Yes.
Every decision that you make will directly impact the two of you.
Very right.
So, if partners out there can stick to each other, and whatever they do, it just has to be two of them in mind, then we shouldn't have any issue in marriage.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I guess you've summarized this whole talk as in marriage can work and it works. But you're saying that there are key points that we must focus on, communication being one of them. Your focus that you need to give and take. You don't need to hold your stand and stick to it. Otherwise, things may not work.
Very right.
So there's a place of compromising some things, and you meet together at the center. And so I guess it is one of those key things that we want to encourage men, and we want to encourage spouses out there to just agree together and to know that the marriage is between the two of them, and they have to communicate, they have to share their love one for another and be real with one another.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm so grateful that you are able to create time to come and share with us briefly about yourselves and what God has done in your lives. And this has really shed some light. And I believe that somebody out there is going to be encouraged and challenged by this, that men can lead lives that are real. They can be real to themselves, and they can also share that with other people. And more so, I want to say that by depending on God, these men have been able to come this far. And we know from our talk today that marriage is also progressive. You said there's no blueprint, but we still go back to the Word of God as the basis of marriage. And if we rely on God's Word, then we'll get more that can help us to progress in our marriages. Thank you, viewers, for your time. I'm so grateful for the two men that came today to share with us briefly about themselves. Personally, I'm also glad that I'm celebrating 22 years in marriage today. And so, praise be to God. I can say that marriage works. God bless you. If you have any questions, you can ask. Our contacts will be on the screen briefly, and you can like and share this coverage with your friends. God bless you, and see you next time.